It's week 18 of the NHL season, and right now we're on the cusp of best on best hockey for the first time in a decade, and the drama of the season leading up to it has not disappointed. We got franchises calling meetings to learn how to stand up for their teammates. Then the future face of the NHL comes under fire for his play, and an entire country holds their breath as their captain gets hurt. And while all this is going on, we got an MVP battle that has two guys showing what they can do at their peak. The league was a dramatic mess heading into the break, so let's cover what really happened in week 18 of the NHL season. Sunday, Bad Buffalo. It's a new week, and the Sabres are still finding ways to disappoint their fans. Surprisingly beating the Devils 4-1, Stefan Nation decides to take the head off of Tage Thompson. Surely that's got to start a fight, right? Nope, not in Buffalo. The Sabres don't do a damn thing while arguably their best forward lays on the ice after a greasy hit. They almost blew the lead after as well, and even though they held on and won to make it 3 in a row, the response from them may as well be as good as a loss. The Islanders, on the other hand, are starting to forget what losses feel like, considering they've won 7 in a row coming in against the Cup champs. But Carter Verswaggy has himself a game with a hat trick as the Panthers start to round into form and maintain their top spot in the Atlantic. The Habs, however, are starting to deal with the realities of having the second youngest team in the league. 2-goal lead, and they let the Ducks score twice in 40 seconds. Alex Killorn sounds the horn and gets the game winner as the Habs are starting to slide. Let's check in on the Rangers, and holy shit. Will Cooley absolutely dummies Alex Pietrangelo. Guy's heels were pointing to the sky. He got rocked so hard. This is the player who's supposed to be taking the Four Nations off due to injury, and he pops right back up like it's nothing, and Cooley drops the gloves in response. See, Buffalo? That's how you do it. What a shift from Cooley, and what a game from the Rangers as a whole. Elias Pettersson's #1 fan and JT Miller picks up 2 assists, and the Rangers win this one 4-2 after a great 34-save performance from Jonathan Quick, who actually hit his 400th win in this game. Going to the Avs crease, there's a whole lot of wood in net. Tonight, it's Blackwood stopping all 24 shots against Philly, while the Dog becomes the first player to 80 points. Over in Dallas, we got some controversy. 3-3 game, Evgeny Dadonov tips one home. It looks like a clear high stick, but upon further review, Gary says it's a goal. Dean Evison says a few words that look like they rhyme with duck, and that is ultimately the game winner to leave a sour taste in the mouths of Jackets fans. Over in Mormon territory, we got the Yeti, Outlaws, Mammoths, who the hell knows what they're going to be called, but St. Louis and Jordan Kyrou make damn sure to call them losers after he buries the game winner. Now, just when you think the soap opera is done in Vancouver, it was announced that Quinn Hughes was ruled out as a late scratch, dealing with some sort of injury. That is both bad news for Team USA and, of course, the Canucks. Elise Filipino looks pretty good as he gets his first as a Canuck, but the Red Wings are on the McClellan magic. Alex Lyon was incredible in this game, stopping 25 of 27. DeBrincat gets 2, including the OT winner, and now Detroit is 14-3-1 under McClellan. Hockey Town is back. Finally, in Calgary, they're fending off Vancouver for that last wildcard spot. Frost gets his first as a Flame. Jonathan Huberdeau scores his 20th goal of the season. Tied a year for him after falling off a cliff in production in the last few seasons. And the Flames hang on to take a big 2 points to end Sunday. Monday, Batman Special. What's a weekly recap without the Gary Special? Only one game on before a jam-packed Tuesday, and it featured the Preds and the Sens. Ottawa is proving every game that this year is finally the year that their fans are right about them being good. The Pinto parlay hits to break open the game from a 2-2 tie, and then Ridley Gregg decides not to take a clapper into the empty net and seals it. Ottawa is 10-2-1 in their last 13, and they are right behind the Leafs for second in the Atlantic. There's still a ton of season left, but a Battle of Ontario in the first round would be absolutely electric. Tuesday, Crosby concern. Here it is in all of its glory. A 14-game night on a random Tuesday, so let's kick it into rapid fire. Sabres, Blue Jackets. Buffalo had a team meeting about stepping up for their guys, and we got a heavyweight tilt right at puck drop. Dennis Gilbert goes against the heavyweight champion Matthew Olivier. Ballsy on Gilbert's part, but give Olivier another dub. Ken Johnson hits the spin cycle and scores a goal that even has him impressed, but let's not forget that every year, the Sabres become the best team in the world when they're 10 points out of a playoff spot. So, Alex Tuck buries 2 and says thanks for coming out to Columbus. Next up, Boston, Minnesota. Trent Frederick upstairs where Mama's hiding the cookies. Boston shuts out Minnesota and gets a crucial 2 points. Tampa and Ottawa are watching that closely, but Kucherov is still in his rocking chair scoring another goal, and Team Canada's Brandon Hagel goes roof daddy-o Jr. to beat the Sens in regulation. Then, speaking of Team Canada, the worst news for every Canadian isn't tariffs, but it's Sidney Crosby getting hurt. I swear to God, if we get robbed of another best on best without Sid and McDavid on the same ice, I'm going to lose it. Thankfully, though, he did return, only to watch his team lose 7 rounds into the shootout. Then we got Ovi scoring with 0.1 seconds left on the empty net to now be 17 goals back from the record. Everyone thinks he's an empty net merchant, but tell that to the 179 goalies he's scored on in his career. On the island, we got Dwayne the Brock Nelson scoring game winners for Lou. This guy's been dangling as trade bait all season, but the Islanders are 8-2 in their last 10, and they're right in the mix. Now stop me if you heard this before. Jets win and get a shutout. This time, Connor Hellebuyck wasn't even in net. They've now won 7 in a row to remain the best team in the league. And Winnipeg, don't you dare screw this up. Is it possible that the Oilers could catch them for first in the West? Probably not, unless McDavid keeps having nights like this. Look at McTwinkle Toes go in OT. Whoops, Holloway goes the wrong way. He finds Connor Brown. Good night, Jim Kite. McDavid, 3 points. Oilers win again. Then if you want to learn how to piss off Torts, let a guy step in the dying seconds of OT and rifle one. Dylan Gunther, buzzer beater. The Mammoth Mormon no-name barn is absolutely rocking, and Utah squeaks out with an electrifying win. That was magical, and so is Detroit right now. Game on the line, and who else but Showtime Patrick Kane. Forehand, backhand, top bunk storage unit to set the NHL record for the most shootout goals with 53. The Red Wings are now on a 7-game heater and sit in a playoff spot. In Vancouver, Quinn Hughes is still out with an injury, but Thatcher Demko looked like his older self. 25 shots and 25 saves to shut out the Avs and the NHL's leading scorer. Meanwhile, the Saddle Dome gets taken over by Leaf fans. Will Nye, the science guy, scores a hattie, and the Leafs win their 2nd in a row, and somehow the parade route has made its way to downtown Calgary. Now, although the Ducks may be back-to-back toilet bowl runner-ups, they are playing much better hockey as of late. They beat the Stars 2-1 and are in that mix of teams that could be a surprise to compete for the last wildcard spot if they go on a run. That, however, is just not the case for my sweet Sharks. Another loss to Montreal puts them dead last in the NHL, where the 2025 Stanley Cup prophecy is all but dead. Wednesday, the Connor Bowl. 2 teams who have disappointed their fans so far this season are the New York Rangers and the Boston Bruins. Pretty much every Italian watching this game got hungry seeing the breadman score for New York and then having pasta tie it all up. The pita guy from Sausage Party joins in on the fun, and Chris Kreider buries the game winner while shorthanded. The Rangers, despite all the mess from earlier in the season, are still well in the mix for that carousel wildcard spot in the East. Then we got the Connor Bowl. I mean, seriously, if you're having a kid anytime soon and you want him to make the NHL, you're going to want to name him Connor. And if you're going to go to the game to see the magic of the name live and in person, you need to use SeatGeek for getting your tickets. SeatGeek is the best app for finding deals on tickets by rating them on a scale of 1 to 10 so you know if you're getting a good deal. If it's red, no bueno. If it's green, that is a banger. You should snatch up those tickets. SeatGeek is hooking us up with 15% off whether you're a new customer or not. Personally, I like to get a little bit closer so I can give a few words of encouragement to the players.
Get in the box! Get in the box!
If you want to join in on the fun live with your favorite team, get the app, open your phone, and type Hockey15 in your code, and you'll get 15% off your next tickets. If you want the best seats in the house while scoring a great deal, click the link in our bio and use the code to get in on the action this season. Now, it's only fitting that the Connor Bowl was headlined by Leon Draisaitl this year. The guy is having an MVP caliber season, and the German doctor remains surgical in this game with another goal and an assist to take over the NHL scoring lead. As we saw McDavid shaked and baked in OT last game, in this game he reminds Seth Jones to close his damn legs as he sets up Hyman with a perfect pass to take the Connor Bowl in OT. After the game, Bedard's play was under fire, and with the Blackhawks 20 points out of it, all eyes are pointing towards the 19-year-old. However, personally, I think it's easy to forget with all the hype that he's still just 19 years old on one of the worst teams in the league. The eyes are also on the youth of Montreal, who to me look like they're desperately missing a guy like Caden Gooley. Averages 21 minutes a night, a stud young underrated defenseman who can make a solid play under pressure but is out due to injury. The shots were 9-1 3 minutes into this game for the Kings. We actually get to see another penalty shot. Warren Fogle goes 7-hole on Dobish, keep the change. Fiala gets 2 of his own for LA as the rough patch continues for Montreal as they lose 6-3. Thursday, capital punishment. It's the NHL's biggest anomalies versus Torts and the Flyers. Russian wingers had themselves a night. Mitchkov, breakaway scores, that's one. Ovechkin says, okay, kid, Watch this, and he one-times it on his strong side to tie the game. 16 goals from the record. This guy may do it in March. When he gets hot, he's hot. That's his 4th game in a row scoring a goal. Then the kid responds in a big way. He buries a tap-in for his 2nd of the night and then tries the Michigan for the Hattie. Ballsy stuff to pull off when Torts is your coach, but you gotta love it. The Caps, though, like usual this season, find a way to win 4-3, and they now have an 11-point lead over the next team in the Metro. What a season for Washington. One team chasing them is the Devils. Still missing their number 1 goalie in Jacob Markstrom. They got Vegas, and this one could have gotten ugly without their backup, Jake Allen. He stops 37 of 40 shots, but Vegas comes out on top 3-1 to snap their own 4-game losing streak. Then in Columbus, Dylan Guenther is becoming the opportune overtime miracle man. Watch this play by Connor Ingram, pulls out the trigonometry, banks her off the boards, and a straight B-way for Guenther to finish the job. Meanwhile, the Lightning and Sens were so nice we get to see it twice, but Tampa steamrolls them this time. Kucherov has another subtle 2-point night, and the Sens lose back-to-back to a team breathing right down their neck. Keeping it in the Atlantic, let's check in on the big dogs in Florida, and in the final seconds of regulation against St. Louis, Samson Reinhart, my boy, is wicked smart, just lurking in that soft spot in coverage to get the dagger. He does that with 11 seconds left to rob St. Louis of a point while keeping Florida on top of the Atlantic. Now, we're also still fresh off of one of the more shocking trades in NHL history with Necas and Rantanen. Things, however, have not been going too well for the Moose. Despite getting his chances, he's now gone pointless in 3 straight games as the Wild shut down Carolina. On the other hand, Slim Shady Marty Necas is on fire. Yes, playing with the dog has its benefits, but the guy's speed has been a perfect complement to the fastest team in the NHL. 2 goals in this one. He's got 8 points in 7 games as an Av. And yeah, McKinnon got another 3 points to retake the NHL scoring lead. Then would you look at that? The parade route has found its way to Seattle. The Leafs get back Anthony Stolarz, who's right there statistically with Connor Hellebuck before getting hurt. And Stoley, the goalie, looked like he hadn't missed a beat. 26 saves on 27 shots. He was solid in the pipes for the Leafs as their depth comes out to give them their 3rd straight win. Finally, our last game involved the Canucks, which meant there must be drama. Up 1-0, the Sharks pull the goalie, and we got a believer in the prophecy. Tyler Toffoli, 1, 2, 3 times a charm, and he ties it up late to keep the dream alive in San Jose. But we haven't seen penalty shots in forever, and all of a sudden, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, they're handing them out like it's candy. In overtime, nonetheless, who gets the honor? It's Drew O'Connor, the Penguins legend and new acquisition, rips it glove side to say let's go home as the Canucks pick up a very important win. Friday, MVP Madness. Let's kick it off with the Rangers and Penguins. Canada is having a nervous breakdown, seeing that Sid is out with an upper body injury. And to make it worse for the Penguins, they are also missing Evgeny Malkin. So naturally, the Penguins have themselves a dog of an effort. They score back-to-back goals to take the lead, and they don't register a single shot in the 3rd, but they hang on to win without Sid and Gino. Meanwhile, Rangers fans continue to be tested every single day. Then, how about this for pond hockey? Bedard tickles the rafters and lasers one. That is his 22nd point in his last 21 games. Not bad for a 19-year-old, and he didn't seem too fazed with all the criticism this week about his game. He gets 2 points in this one, Ryan Donato gets 4, and the Chicago Bedards win Friday's Toilet Bowl 6-2. Meanwhile, we got 2 red-hot teams in the Islanders and Jets. If Lou just answered my voicemails, he would know that the Jets wagon was coming into town, but he gets to see it firsthand. Gabe Vilardi double dips while Hellebuck does what he does best, and the Jets squeak out a 4-3 win to tie their franchise win streak at 8. That's the 2nd time this season they've won 8 games in a row, as Winnipeg is a certified juggernaut. But everyone will remain skeptical until they make some noise come playoff time. Then the late games were humming. The Kings versus Stars trading leads back and forth. Duchesne looking like a weapon. Fiala doing the same for the Kings meant that this game required OT. So Kevin Fiala steps up, tees one home, and that's the game. But wait. Gary, line 1 says check the tape, pal. That is goaltender interference. It looks like Drew Doughty's toenail brushes up against Jake Ottinger's toenail, and they say no goal. Everyone return back to your seats. We got a shootout to watch. Sometimes, though, the puck don't lie. Fiala scores in the shootout, and when they need him most, they call 1-800-BIG-SAVE-DAVE to stop Duchesne. He tucks in the sword for the Selly as the hockey gods restore balance in the universe. Then our grand finale was the MVP matchup. McKinnon versus Draisaitl did not disappoint. first goal. McKinnon tells Stuart Skinner rather directly to close his damn legs. Draisaitl responds 6 seconds later and says, "You don't impress me," and buries one of his own. The dog, though, had 3 assists by the end of the first period. So, anything you can do, I can do better, says the German doctor. He is surgical, dancing around McKinnon, gets stopped initially, and then from his knees, gets his own rebound to go top shelf. Just an insane back and forth game from two guys at their peak right now. It was only fitting that the dog, who came into the game as the league leader in points, finished it off. He sets up Slim Shady Martin Necas, who buries the game winner. I highly recommend you check out our MVP breakdown from this past week to see what these two guys are doing so well. But it's crazy to see that an absolute barn burner of a match like this surprisingly ended with Connor McDavid being held pointless. Saturday, hockey night. This is the last game for almost the entire league before the break, so let's fire it up. The Devils and Habs, Rochambeau, and it's a bad time for Sam Montembeault. Both Hughes brothers score, and Jake Allen gets the shutout as the Habs continue to fall out of the playoff race. Alex Lyon can join Montembeault for having a rough go, as 3 minutes in, shot goes in from the point for the second goal against, and Tom McClellan says, "All right, I've seen enough." He gets yanked early, but he barely breaks a sweat, and neither does Kucherov, putting up 3 points in a rocking chair. The guy that is truly on fire for Tampa, though, is Brandon Hagel. He's on pace for 91 points this season, and he had a big 4-point night. He has earned his spot big time for Team Canada in the Four Nations tournament. Now, for the Hurricanes, there's no Mikko Rantanen after blocking a shot last game. Guys in the Four Nations are dropping like flies, but Carolina doesn't let it faze them. Who the hell ordered a pizza? Because Karel Vejmelka delivers one hot and ready right up the middle and gets caught with his pants down as the floodgates open up from there. The Canes get scoring up and down their lineup and snap their 3-game losing streak. Now let's go to Boston, who's right there in the playoff race trying to find a way in, and they choke a 3-1 lead of their own. They are less than a minute away from getting a point, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Hurdle gets the dagger to leave Boston pointless. That's got to sting, but let's go to the barn burner in St. Louis. Goalies and defense look away. We're going for a track meet. 5 goals for both teams, and we still got Jordan Binnington getting a bunion on the puck to keep the game tied late. 10 rounds later in a shootout, Radek Faksa turns into a slick Rick and ends it to give St. Louis the win and keep them in the wildcard convo. They're chasing Vancouver, who holds that final wildcard spot in the West, but with Quinn Hughes missing his 4th straight, the drama never stops in Canuckland. Thatcher Demko leaves halfway through the game, so it's up to Kevin Lankinen to become the man to stop the Leaf Cup parade on the West Coast. He comes in cold turkey and stops 21 of 22 for a massive 2 points for Vancouver. Meanwhile, in Florida, we got this year's second edition of the Tkachuk Bowl, and both Matthew and Brady got it started. Brady, 6 minutes in, scores on the power play. Matthew responds by saying, "Watch this, little bro," and ties it up 6 minutes into the second, and from that point on, it was all Florida. The Panthers rattled off 5 straight goals with Matthew putting up 3 points, and this break couldn't come at a better time for Ottawa, who severely banged up down the middle. Matthew takes the Tkachuk Bowl just days before him and Brady become the Bash Brothers for Team USA. We had to have one last toilet bowl between Nashville and Buffalo, and Ryan O'Reilly torments his older team. 4 assists for him, and yet another day where Buffalo's ghosts continue to haunt them in this nightmare of a season. Then, what a week for Will Cooley of the Rangers. This guy started off the week by sending Alex Pietrangelo into the Shadow Realm with a monster hit, and then he has a dog of a performance in the third period, scoring 2 goals to help the Rangers beat the Jackets and close in on that last wildcard spot. The break comes at a good time for New York, considering that Shesterkin is out with an injury. Staying in the Metro, it's the Battle of Pennsylvania, but still no Sid or Gino. Torts threatens a bag skate if they lose to the Penguins farm team, so Earson and Konechny pull through and hand Pittsburgh their 14th loss in their last 22 games. Hashtag save Sid and get him the best damn doctor Canada has to offer. Then, Lou's Soprano hockey backfires. Tony DeAngelo 1-times-1 into the back of his own net. Get the man in a witness protection program from Lou after that, and give the Wild some love as they come back from being down 3-1 and score 5 unanswered. Speaking of which, it's a goddamn disaster in San Jose. Dallas scores 6 unanswered goals of their own, and Jamie Benn just skates to the bench after goal number 8. The classic beer league Selly, when you're blowing out the other team at the 11 p.m. game, just skate right to the bench. Let's get this over with. I need to go home. The Sharks' prophecy is a hoax, and I'm in shambles. Then, with the Calgary Flames fighting for that last playoff spot, they absolutely fumble the bag. 2-zip lead in the final 10 minutes, and they let Seattle score twice in 2 minutes to tie it and then win it in OT. If Calgary misses the playoffs by a point this season, remember that one. Finally, the Kings start dialing 1-800-BIG-SAVE-DAVE's number as they go into their second straight shootout. But Leo Carlsson and Trevor Zegras pull the hook. 2 sick moves got our boy Dave lost at sea as the Ducks win 2-1 in a shootout to end a wild Saturday night. So, what did you think of Week 18? Who pissed you off? Who surprised you? Let us know in the comments down below. And with the Four Nations tournament coming up, the weekly recaps are going to take a little bit of a break, but we're going to be covering every single game of the Four Nations tournament, doing breakdowns, recaps of all the games. So if you want the best coverage and analysis of the tournament, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications.